Jen, put your boobs away.
Put your purple bra back
Why?
in your clothes.
Keep your boobs out.
If Kayla was here, she would not say keep your boobs out.
Oh,
Yeah, but she has her boobs out sometimes.
That's
So
true.
she had her,
Her
boobs
boobs were really
majorly
out last week. Wow, were they ever?
That's why I came here, was just for the boobs.
Just for the boobs.
Yeah. Well, you're like, I want to see boobs and have mine out.
This is Hi, my name is Mom, a podcast about motherhood. Here are your hosts, Jen, Corri, and Kayla.
This has been the craziest couple weeks. And I say crazy in air quotes because to us, life has seemed crazy.
Insane.
Just a lot of moving parts and
actually big enough moving parts that we're going to talk about it in an upcoming episode. So that'll be within the next couple weeks. We'll drop that episode.
but at the same time, I think that we're really big on having perspective. We've talked about that in so many episodes. And I do think that having this podcast pushes that perspective even more so. We talked about that with Kayla Ewell about how having a podcast actually highlights so many other stories that it almost helps you.
Keeps you grounded.
It keeps you grounded because you're thinking, wow, like my chaos is nothing.
Yes.
And so what we want to do is start finding, I wouldn't say there's so many moms who are just going through completely insane and difficult and crazy. And sometimes it could be crazy amazing and sometimes it could be crazy hard things. And I think if we can find those moms to highlight their stories, it will help all the rest of us moms hold on to that perspective. Not that it's okay
I agree.
to have a meltdown about the normal everyday things, because that happens and that's okay too.
Right.
But I do think I love having these little sort of sticks in the ground in my brain that go, okay, well, here's this and here's this. And I'm usually somewhere right here, even if it feels like it's this right now. And I think that what we'll hear today, a lot of it's going to be new for me, even though Jen is familiar with the story.
So this is my friend Vicki. You guys have met before, actually, at one of our parties.
Yeah.
You guys have actually met.
But I don't know.
But you don't know her,
I just know
and you don't know her
pieces of it.
story.
Yeah.
So Vicki is an amazing mom to 4*, 4-ish.
Four
or
/
maybe
400.
5 or
Who
400.
knows?
It's, whatever.
Yeah.
And actually, I did an episode on you. I don't even know if you know this.
No, I don't.
I had a breakdown about you back in November.
We were at the
I don't even
Russell.
remember. We were at the Russell. And I had like a crazy morning and I had got a text from you. And it was a photo of you curled up on a sofa in Poland. And that's sort of the beginning of this crazy story.
Okay,
the
pause
middle.
right there because my brain, like when my air quote crazy week, forgot to tell everyone that you can now watch us on YouTube if you're listening on a podcast platform. And some episodes more than others, I really would encourage you to do that. We don't know
Definitely.
what could possibly happen yet today, but there are some episodes that truly, there's just so much to see.
Well, who knows? You could have been seeing boobs this whole time.
Oh,
You're
yes.
watching it on YouTube.
YouTube.com/hi, my name is Mom. If you would hit subscribe, that's amazing. And it helps us as well. And then if you're watching on YouTube, if you would go subscribe on a podcast platform, then our new episodes will pop up. And then if you want to hit 5 stars or something like that, that's great. Okay. So she was curled up in Poland.
She was curled up in Poland and I got a picture of her and I just started hysterically crying.
Yeah.
So that's the middle of the story. Whoa. First of all, okay, I'm going to just give a little bit of background.
Okay.
I met Vicki here when we moved to Nashville. I met her through our friend Beth, who's actually in the studio, way over in the corner hiding.
She's our director today.
She's our
That's
director.
right.
I met her through Beth, and Beth kept saying, "You have to meet my friend Vicki. You have to meet my friend Vicki." And I went to Beth's house for a birthday party, and she was like, "This is my friend Vicki," and she kept going, "This is Vicki. This is Vicki," and I was like, "Oh!" And you know what's funny is I have since said the same kind of thing to like my sisters when they came to our Valentine party. I was like, "You have to meet Vicki. You have to meet Beth," and they're like, "Oh!" And they loved you guys. So anyway. Good people attract good people. That's all I'm going to say. But Vicki has an amazing husband named Scott, who is a incredibly hot war hero / musician / daddy.
Now I need to look up a picture.
Oh, hold on.
Go ahead.
Well, wait,
she's
where's
got-
my phone?
No, I'm not sure you want her scrolling.
And then we're just going to all look at your husband talking about how hot
I'm
your
just
husband
saying,
is.
if
That's
you want to check
hilarious.
him out, go to
Check him out.
warhippies.com.
I'll
He's
circle
super
back
hot.
on the hot husband.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, just tell us about your family structure. Start
Okay,
there.
so Scott and I have been married for almost 20 years. We have I know it's crazy. It's 18, but I'm like, this is kind of fun
I'm
to say
14 and I
almost
feel
20.
like it's long.
It is. It's very long.
I'm 10 next year, and I feel like, wow, almost
Yeah.
a decade.
Yeah, we're grown-ups now.
I love it.
Like real life grown-ups. And I have a real life almost grown-up child.
That's what's really crazy.
Yes, my daughter is 16.
That's what's crazy looking at your skin.
I know.
Stop.
It's true. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm
She's
gonna
like,
stop.
I spend lots
I'll
of it.
stop
No, I'm kidding.
fangirling on you now.
Okay, I'm okay with it. Bring it on.
She's like, I intended. I'm like,
If you want to rub my leg, it's fine. I'll be right over here. And then your YouTube friends, your listeners can watch.
your listeners can watch.
Okay, so I have a 16-year-old daughter, Logan. I have a 14-year-old daughter, Kinsley. They are our bio babies.
They're so beautiful. I mean, I hate to say that because, like, I hate to tag
We
girls
sound
that
so
way,
vain
but
in this
they're so
episode.
they're so gorgeous, and they're most kind-hearted
Yeah.
humans, and they're intelligent and just like wholesome. And I anyway,
They're way more straight-laced than I'll ever be. That's all I have to say.
Oh my
I don't know
gosh.
where they came from. Well, I do, but I don't know how. So
Right,
anyway,
right.
our older two are 14 and 16, and then we have a 10-year-old daughter, Aniston, and she is 100% responsible for my salvation. Her story is amazing.
yes.
Or our story together. And then she was adopted. And then our son Eli is 8, and he was also adopted.
Okay,
So-
wait. Let me just interject. One of the things that Vicki says to me that is the funniest is she's like, I got one of my kids at Walmart and one of my
that's
kids at
true.
Starbucks. And the reality is
Yeah.
you can get everything you need at both places.
Yes.
Including babies.
Well, my mom used to tell me whenever I was a teenager, you know, like when you want to go shop somewhere expensive and then they don't have the money for it. And so she would be like, Vicki, if you can't get it at Walmart, you don't need it. And so I told my husband, I'm like, whenever this story's long, but I basically met someone at Walmart and then adopted their baby. But my husband was like, Vicki, you can't get a baby at Walmart. And I was like,
Watch me.
yes,
Hold my
I
beer.
can. Aisle 5.
I
Thank
got
you
this.
very much.
Can I ask you, did you always know you wanted to adopt?
I would say that it has always been on my heart. Like
Okay.
it's always been something that I've been passionate about, really just kids in general.
Sure.
And then we had secondary infertility after having our second baby. And so I knew that I wanted to adopt, but I hadn't really seen my husband, Scott, have the same heart for that. And then God really just intervened and brought his heart to that. And we were able to adopt both of our babies, which we really were only adopting a third. And then Eli came into our life like a wrecking ball, literally. Like we found out about the fact that this woman was pregnant and then she was due in 2 weeks. And 2 weeks later, he came home with us. So,
Oh, that would be ideal for Kayla, wouldn't it? 2 weeks, you're having a baby.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well,
Wow.
honestly, like I felt kind of bad. Like a part of me felt like selfish whenever Eli came around because we had 3 beautiful daughters and we weren't really planning on having a fourth. And I knew so many people that wanted a baby, but like God so clearly said, like
This
that
is
this
your
was our
son.
son. We just
Yeah.
knew he was.
Yeah.
So we moved forward with it, and I can't imagine our family without him. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you weren't even in the adoption process when you met someone at Walmart and then
that one I was. That was my 10-year-old.
She
We
wanted- yeah.
were fostering to adopt. That was
Okay.
our plan. We had a
Yeah.
nursery ready to go.
Wow.
And then with Eli, we had not planned on adopting at all for
Okay.
a fourth, but we did. So
Wow.
Okay, so I'm gonna just like lay the groundwork here. So there's a really big church in our area that lots of our friends go to. I think Dalia and Aaron go there, and like you
Yeah.
guys and Beth and Heather and like all of anybody we know that's like, I go here, it's always this same church,
Yeah.
right? And you guys were doing a Ukrainian foster program at
So,
Christmas, right? Tell us about that.
it's actually an orphan hosting program. So back in the day, I don't know, before all of this, I guess 2016-ish, we had hosted a little girl. She was 13. We hosted her through an orphan hosting program. So a lot of these orphanages over in Europe, they shut down over summertime or over Christmas time, and they go to like orphan camp, and it's not the best option for them. So what we like to do is bring these kids here to the United States, and we share the love of Jesus with them. And then we show them how to break the cycle, like what that looks like to have a family unit. Because so often these kids are literally just dropped off at orphanages.
Yeah.
And not only are they dropped off there, but the rights of the parents have not been signed over. So these kids are not adoptable.
Wow.
They just live there at this school/orphanage. So we hosted a little girl, Christine, back, I don't even know what year it was, but we hosted her, and then we decided that we wanted to adopt her. And we pursued adoption. She was 13 at the time. She's 18 now. It ended up not working out. And I was heartbroken.
This was after Eli.
This was after
this is
Eli, our youngest
number
son,
5.
who's
Okay.
8. So this would have been our 5th. We chose a girl to host that didn't want to be adopted because we didn't want to get into an adoption situation again. And then when she came here, she changed her mind and said, like, I want you guys to be my mama. So she called me mom. She called him dad. These were her siblings. Like everything just like fell into place. We decided that we were going to adopt her, and it ended up being a freaking disaster. Her birth mother came into the picture and told her that she would commit suicide if she moved to the United States.
Poor baby girl.
And so the little girl told social services that she did not want to be adopted. We hosted her 3 more times after that and just brought her here to like love on her and spend time with her. And then, of course, she did want to be adopted after that. But we had already pulled out of the adoption per her request, which was excruciating to then hear her say she wanted to be adopted. Now she's 18. We stay in contact. And it's not her life that she's living is not what we hoped for her, you know?
Yeah.
So after all that happened, we were like, no more hosting. I
Yeah.
can't handle the heartbreak. Like, this is excruciating. Our kids were having a really hard time. And then at church, we saw a video of a young lady. Her name is Lena, who has basically ended up being also one of our children. She's 22 now, but she was adopted from Ukraine when she was 15, and she shared her story with our church. And when she shared her story, I watched it, and Beth was sitting there, and I started sobbing. And if you know me, I really just don't cry unless it's an absolute emergency. So I was sobbing hysterically, ran to the bathroom. Like, I was just so upset, but I was listening to her story talking about like how her life had been changed by an American. Her mother had died, and then her dad dropped her off at an orphanage, and then an American family adopted her. And so immediately I said to my 2 best friends, like, we are hosting this Christmas. So that was last Christmas. You're hosting, and I'm hosting. And
That's Vicki.
Yeah.
Vicki's the cruise director.
Yeah.
You're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this. I totally appreciate that. As an
So
Enneagram 8, I
we
very
all
much
hosted.
appreciate that.
So we all hosted. That's what happened.
I love that.
So last Christmas
Okay.
we hosted.
So what happened with your family?
So for our family, we hosted a little boy, which we were really excited about because our older 3 are girls. We also have a little girl that we've kind of helped raise. Her mom was just really young. And so she's 3 now. So we have, you know, 3 of our girls, 1 extra little girl, and then our son.
Yeah.
And he's always saying how he wished he had a brother. So we were
Aw.
like, we are going to host a little boy.
Yeah.
So we brought a little boy here, and we called him Little B, and he immediately stole our hearts. Now, this was really strange because our daughter that we had hosted spoke English. He did not speak
Right.
any English, like none. So like we were really trying to figure out how to communicate with him. So we used Google Translate a lot.
How old was he?
So when he came here, they told us he was 10. He told us he was 10. But my son was like, when is your birthday? You know, on Translate. And we figure it out. And turns out he was only 9.
Okay.
So he didn't really know how old he was.
Yeah.
And then he couldn't accept the fact that he was 9. So we just went with 10.
Okay.
So he's 10 now,
10 now.
but he thinks that he's 11.
Okay, got it.
So yeah, so he's around the same age as our younger 2. He kind of just like slipped right into our family, and like we just all fell in love with him. And he really stuck to my husband's side, which was really sweet because he hadn't really had that kind of connection with a man before. And my husband is not the most like kid-friendly person. If you picture like Aquaman, that's kind of what my husband
It
looks
does
like.
kind of look like that's true.
Yeah. Every time we go
I
to
can
Mexico,
picture
they're
some
like,
side-by-side social
"Aquaman!"
content right now.
Yeah.
He does look like Aquaman.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's
And
big
his buddy
and
looks
long
like
hair.
Thor.
Yes.
I'm making this connection
You
now.
are.
Yes, his buddy's also very hot.
Gamble, yeah.
God,
His
sorry,
buddy?
Gamble. I'm like
His friend Gamble.
Alexander. We all call him Thor, actually.
Yes.
What are you making that face for?
His name is Gamble. We call him Thor.
So
Thor.
there's a lot of superheroes in your world.
Lots of superheroes.
But he loved Scott, and it was so sweet. Like Scott would make eggs in the morning, and his name is Bogdan. So Bogdan would follow Scott around the house, like everywhere, and it was just like heart melting to see it. And pretty much immediately we were like, yeah, no, he's supposed to be here. I mean, he called me
Yeah.
Mama. He called Scott Papa, which was the cutest thing ever because
Papa.
we all call him Dad, right? But he was like Papa, you know, and just
Aw.
yeah, we just immediately knew that we wanted him to be a part of our family.
it felt kind of like it was meant to be. I mean, it
Yeah.
did. It felt
Yeah.
like this was the right thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you decide you want to adopt him. So what happens? Because I mean, that seems pretty easy. It's like you've been approved to foster. He's over
in
here.
your home.
He's got a visa to be over here. He's in your home.
Yeah.
So what?
So my
happens?
husband is a Marine, and he has a lot
Not
of
just a Marine. Her husband is like one of the most badass Marines who's
Well,
done
that's true.
very, very big
he has done a lot of stuff.
extractions.
Yeah,
Like People magazine worthy stuff. Like it's pretty incredible.
he's a really amazing dude.
Yeah.
He really is. It's so fucking adorable. You can't even stand
Oh,
it.
I love that you feel that way about your
Well, I
husband.
do, and he's
sweet.
also a recording artist, so he's gone all the time.
Okay.
So I miss him like extra lot, like
Aw.
because I'm like I haven't seen him in a while, so I'm like he's
Yeah.
really
So he's, like,
hot,
touring?
Yeah, his
Oh,
band
nice.
is called War Hippies.
Awesome.
And he's
they're-
on the road.
Yeah, he's been touring with Travis Tritt and Chris Jansen.
That's
and It's
awesome.
been really cool. Yeah, but he's been a recording artist for a long time, so I don't even know what we were talking about because now
I'll
I'm
tell
just
you as soon
picturing
as I
Scott in
find
my mind.
Scott's
I don't
on
know.
the-
I know
Scott's on the
we talked
right.
about Thor.
Yeah, that's mine right there.
Oh, he's so
That's mine.
cute.
I like how she says that.
That's mine.
That's mine right there. Yeah. So he was here for 4 to 6 weeks. I guess it was like 5 weeks. Usually it's like 4 to 6 weeks is how long the hosting is.
Mhm.
So he was here for about 5 weeks. We knew we wanted to adopt him. And Scott is a Marine, so he knew a lot of people in special forces, and people in special forces were telling him like, there's about to be a war in Ukraine.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that's where our son is from. And so we really battled back and forth. Like Beth was also hosting. So we were praying that the war would break out before we had to send these kids back. And it
Because then they
didn't.
would get to stay.
Well, because then we would be like, wow, we're not sending him back. To
you
a
could
war.
just say no. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we would fight it. We
Of
would fight it in
course.
court if we had to,
Of course.
whatever it came
Yeah.
down to. But at this point, the war had not broken out yet. So
Okay.
we sent them back on January 11th of last year. And February 24th, the war broke out. So between January 11th and February 24th, we were doing everything we could to like move as fast as we could with the adoption.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't fast enough. And as soon as the war broke out, the 24th actually is my husband's birthday. And so it happened that day. And 2 days later, he flew to Poland. He's like, I don't know why I'm going to Poland, but I'm going to go to Poland and try to get him. Like, we're going to figure, like, we can't just leave him there. It was so fresh on our hearts, like he had just
How
left.
do you leave your child or soon to be
Yeah.
official child like in a war zone?
Well, not to
I
mention
mean,
we have 4 children who
Right.
are dying for
Yeah.
him. Not to
Yeah.
mention
Yeah.
the baby who was staying with us. Like
Yeah.
she was asking for him all the time, and it's like they're like, well, can't you go get him? Like there's a war. Like mom, dad, like you can't just leave him there.
Mhm.
And Scott was like, well, peace out. I'm going to Poland. So he went
Yeah.
to Poland with one of his best friends, Andy Lang, and they immediately set up kind of like a war room, like in their hotel room. And our goal was to try to get their entire orphanage out of Ukraine.
So now you're not just trying to like move one child, you're moving
47.
50 children.
Yeah, 47.
Okay.
47 kids.
Because that's just a normal day in my life. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, it felt like a
What?
movie. Like it didn't feel like real life.
Yeah.
And I just wanted so badly to see him and touch him and hold him. So
Honestly, it makes me feel. It reminds me of the scene in handmaid's Tale when they're trying to get all the
Oh,
children
yeah.
on the
yes,
plane. and
yes.
That's
Oh,
what I
that's
picture.
right.
Yes.
It feels like a movie.
I think
like
it
that's
felt
what
like that. I think that that day felt like that.
Well, it
And-
was days. It like lasted on and on. So we were like working with all of these different military people. Okay, so think about like all of these military people are comfortable in Iraq. Right? Like they've been there for 20 years. They have all these rat lines, which are people that go from one place to another, from that place to another. They bring people, they know people, they trust people, they have houses they know about.
Right.
So they're thinking like, we'll just hop right into Ukraine and do the same thing and it's going to
Right.
be fine. Well, it did not go that way because people are corrupt. Like not everybody is out to help everybody, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we would plan like, or Scott and Andy would like plan this whole situation to get the kids out. And then literally the whole situation would fall apart.
Yeah.
And then people were screaming at us because we didn't do what we said we were going to do. And it was awful.
Were you working with the actual orphanage?
So the orphanage director, we were working directly with him. And
Okay.
he's the orphanage director, but he's also the guardian of our son.
Okay.
like the legal guardian of all those
Wow.
children.
Yes, of
Oh, of
all of the
all
of
children.
them.
Yes. That's how
Okay.
it works in Ukraine.
Wow.
So I'm thinking, I want Bogdan, I want Beth's
Julia?
daughter,
Yes.
I want April's daughter. Like I want all of them like on a list. So he says, I will help you so that you can like basically host them.
Yeah.
during the war.
Indefinitely.
So
Well,
he would
no, during
basically
the
give
war.
over he would give his permission for
Right,
you
For
guys
you to host them while the war was going
on an
Yes,
extended basis.
And then we would swear on our lives that we would send these kids back at the end of the war
Right.
and do a proper adoption.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So right now we're just like, what can we do to keep the kids safe?
Yeah.
Get them
Yes.
in safe homes, get them out of the country.
Yeah, so it's a crazy long story, but long story short, I ended up going into Poland like right after Scott. I went with Beth's husband, Ron. He came with me. We met Scott and Andy at their hotel. We ended up helping extract the entire orphanage out of Ukraine. We got them over to Poland, and it was like, you guys, I mean, I have like a whole like
I'm
I have
telling
a
you, I
timeline.
was hysterically crying. So I can't even imagine. Like, I'm getting teary just thinking about this now. Beth's over there; she get upset. That morning, because everybody had kind of been on pins and needles for days.
Can you
Yeah.
paint that for us? Because Jen, you've seen a lot of this. Beth, you obviously lived it. You lived
Yeah.
it. Can you kind of like paint what that day was like for us a little bit?
Like, I don't even know if I can.
You get to this country you're unfamiliar with.
Yes,
Your
and
husband
then-
is there
and-
who has been there.
So we didn't go into Ukraine. Scott went to the border of Ukraine,
Right.
but didn't go into
Right.
Ukraine.
And it was the orphanage director bringing the
So
kids
the
to the
orphanage
border.
director says, we know this lady in Lithuania. Okay, so we want all of the children to go from here's Ukraine, here's Poland, here's Lithuania. So they're
Okay.
going to go from Ukraine to Poland to Lithuania. But when they go to Poland, you can meet them there, and you can take your children.
Okay.
Your son, Beth's
And is
daughter,
this, are they on a
April's
bus?
daughter.
Are there, because
They're on a two-decker bus.
okay.
So we're gonna bring them out. We're gonna meet you at McDonald's in Poland.
Of all places.
Yeah.
This is so
And you
random.
can take your-
Starbucks, McDonald's,
I know,
Walmart.
Yes,
We got it.
it's-
We got
Right.
it.
We're really
It's like-
covering our bases.
We
if,
really
if all
are.
of those
Yes.
places would like to sponsor this episode,
Hello.
that would be great.
That'd be awesome.
So he says we'll meet you at McDonald's in Poland. You can take your 3 kids, or I think there were a couple of extra. It was 5
'Cause it was
total because it
siblings,
was
right?
siblings
They had
too.
siblings.
Yeah.
So you're going to take these kids, and then you're going to get their passports, or they already had passports. We're going to get their visas, and then you can take them back to the United States. You can host them until the war is over. And the rest of the children are going to Lithuania. Okay. So I'm sitting in the McDonald's parking lot. I don't believe anything that anyone is telling me at this point. Like, are they actually going to bring the kids? It felt very like one minute they were coming, and the next minute they weren't. And then the next minute they're really close, and the next minute they're really far. Like,
Can I ask you, were they legally allowed to cross the border?
so I
during this
don't
time?
really know.
Okay.
I mean,
Laws are different in wars, in war torn.
That's why I don't know what
times of
I'm
war.
trying to like understand if they
Yeah.
were kind of like covertly trying to get the kids across
No,
the
I
Well, Russia's in Ukraine, right?
Yes.
So they see a busload of children or anybody trying to get out of the
Right.
country. That's like a massive thing.
I mean,
So-
basically it was like nobody knew. There were no rules.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
That's like when Scott went to Iraq for the
so
first
many
time in
question marks.
2003. He passed over right whenever the war started. There's no rules.
Yeah.
Like, nobody knows what to do. And so it was like, all we knew is we wanted the kids to safety. So lo and
And you're just
behold,
doing whatever you have to do to make that happen.
Right.
Yes. So the orphanage director says, we know someone in Lithuania. You can take your kids, keep them in Poland until you get their visas. we're going to take the rest of the kids to Lithuania. Okay. So Scott and I and a couple of other people are at the McDonald's in Poland, just praying that this double-decker bus shows up. Like 3 buses go by. I'm sobbing. I'm a freaking mess. I'm calling Beth constantly. I mean, I couldn't even freaking function. And then all of a sudden, this double-decker bus pulls in, and I can see Bogdan standing at a window, like waving. Like, he's so excited. And so he gets off the bus, and he runs to us. Mama, Papa. Like, actually, he ran right past me and went straight to Scott. But it's fine. He was really excited.
You can rewrite the story right now if you
Really?
want
He was
to.
really
We'll
excited
rewrite
to
it.
see Scott, if we're honest. And he ran into Scott's arms. It was like everything I had dreamed it would be, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking we're taking our son home.
Yeah.
So we go into this McDonald's.
I'm looking for a photo while you talk,
Okay.
by the way.
Scott buys all of the kids McDonald's. We feed them all. They're all hungry and excited, and they had been on this, trip forever. Now they're finally out of this war-ridden country. And all the little kids were coming up and holding us. Beth's daughter, her little sister was like 3, and she was like holding me and Beth's husband, and just it was
Babies.
like it was the best and worst moment all at once. And then all of a sudden, whenever it's time to leave and we think we're taking our kids, they say, actually, there's a manifest. There's like a roster of children that are on this bus. And if we don't take all of these children with us, then it'll look like we lost some, or like it was
Sold
some
them.
kind of trafficking.
Yes.
So all of the children have to go to Lithuania. We can't leave any here.
Well, here's Mama Bear Vicky that's like, I'm sorry. I'm not letting him go.
No.
And they just choose to save this information until after, like.
Oh yeah,
Apparently.
I'm
Sorry, you have an olive in your hair. There you go. It's all right. They touch the best people. It's fine.
Yeah.
So I'm determined that that's not happening. And Scott's trying to calm me down. He's like, babe, like, I've been in the military. I know that this is probably true, what they're saying. They need all of these kids to show up there. And these people are telling me, look, if you let him come with us, then you can come to Lithuania.
And get him there.
And let him get a good night's sleep, let him get a good meal, and then you can bring him back to Poland. Okay.
Which, how far is Lithuania?
At the time, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's like just right up the road. No biggie.
Right.
No, it's 12 hours.
We'll just go to the McDonald's down the street.
No, we'll meet you there.
Yeah, no,
12
it's
hours.
12 hours. But I didn't know how far away it was. I didn't care how far away it was. I was like,
We're
if you're
going.
doing
Yeah.
this, I'm getting on the bus with the
Right.
children. Because Scott couldn't go to Lithuania right then. We had someone else that we were evacuating, actually, like one of the people from the orphanage, her and her parents and her daughter and her son. We were evacuating them from Kyiv. So they were at the border of
wow.
Ukraine.
Yeah.
And Scott had to go pick them up.
Right.
So Scott's like, you're not getting on a bus with these people. We don't know these people. I'm like, I mean, I'm sorry. Are you going to stop me?
Like, have you met me?
I'm-
I'm your wife.
I'm
You
actually
know who
getting
I
on
am.
this bus.
Yeah.
So I got on the bus with all of the kids, and Scott went to Ukraine, and I went to Lithuania.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got to Lithuania, and it was not at all what I imagined it to be. It was really uncomfortable. As soon as we got off the bus, there were like hundreds of Lithuanians all there. You guys, it's like pitch black dark. They're all holding stuffed animals. They're trying to hand them to all the kids. It feels very like, I want that one, I want that one, I want that one.
Oh.
It just did not feel right. And this one woman is very excited to see Bogdan and Bogdan's sister, who is 17. So Bogdan's sister runs up to this woman, hugs her. They're like embracing it, like best day of their lives. And then she looks at Bogdan and she's holding his cheeks. Hi, Bogdan, we've missed you, blah, blah, blah. And Bogdan's like literally like clenching onto my skin. He's like holding me tight. And I'm thinking like, I have no idea what's going on. No one here speaks English. No one knows who I am. And he kept calling me mama, which was really pissing this lady off. And I have no idea why.
When you couldn't communicate with her about who she was, or.
Well, I thought I couldn't.
Oh, gosh.
Turns out the host speaks English. Okay.
Oh,
so like she pretended
goodness.
like she didn't, but she sure did. She pretended like she didn't for hours. But she was telling Bogdan he needed to go with all of the other little kids. He was saying no. He was holding on to me. It's my mama. It's my mama. And they finally let him go to like a little hut with me. So it was me and him and then like 4 young girls. We were all in this room together. And they said like, y'all are staying the night in here.
And this is an orphanage there.
Well,
Or this
it's
is
actually
just-
a resort. It's like a resort,
Oh,
but
they
they
met
were
at a
like
resort.
turning it into an
Okay,
orphanage
I
for all
see.
of these
A
kids to
refuge.
stay in.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm sure that like, well, I would like to say that these people meant well, but I'm having a really hard time accepting that even
Sure.
still.
Right.
But turns out this woman who owns this resort had been to the orphanage in Ukraine, had bonded with Bogdan's sister at some point. I don't know in what capacity, but Bogdan's sister is basically the reason that this woman said, I'll take the whole orphanage.
Oh.
But I didn't know any of that.
Wow.
And is there some kind of law where it's like if you adopt one, you have to adopt them all?
So that is the law unless the child is 18. Well,
Okay.
Bogdan was not going to be eligible for adoption until his sister was over the age of 18. But we did file our paperwork to accept both him and his sister.
Mhm.
Like we were planning on
Right.
saying like, we'll take both. If she
Yeah.
Right.
wants to be adopted, we'll
Right.
take both. If not, we'll take just him.
Yeah.
So anyway, these people end up basically cussing me up one side and down the other. They're telling me like, you don't belong here. We don't know who you are. We're not going to put you out on the street, but you're not allowed to be here. So tomorrow your husband needs to come pick you up. You cannot stay here. You're not taking any children with you. They ended up
And now you're in another country.
I'm in another
So
country.
what the
They took my
orphanage director
passport.
says doesn't even count.
They
No.
took your
They
passport.
took my passport.
Did they ask you for it? Like, how did?
Yes, they were like, your passport. And then they were asking me for my social security number, but I didn't understand what they were asking me. They were asking me for my number, my American number. And I'm like, my phone number? Like, I didn't know what they were saying, and I truly
And
didn't.
you're trying to go along with it so you can take your son home.
Yes, I'm like, well, I thought that they would understand. They did not understand.
This story gets even crazier, which is hard to believe because, okay, so what happens after you get to Lithuania and you realize, okay, there's some stuff going on. I don't know what's going to happen with Bogdan. What happens then?
Well, so the next morning, so I stayed the night there. Y'all, I'm sobbing all night.
They
I'm
have
so
your
confused.
stuff. They
took my stuff.
You already know that they're trying to not let you take him
I know
home.
something is not right.
Right.
I'm texting Scott. I'm like, something is wrong. I'm afraid they're gonna hurt me. Like, I don't know what's gonna
What
happen
a terrifying
next.
situation to
So
be in on
Scott's
so many levels.
Horrified.
And you've got your other 4 kids at home, plus 4 plus at home, where you're like, wait a minute. Wait, why are you laughing?
And Beth.
And
I'm
Beth.
like texting Beth constantly, like, you guys, I have a whole timeline on my
Beth,
phone.
you can come snuggle
Yeah,
in
or you
with
can
us
sit
if you
right
want
here.
to.
You wanna sit- you- then-
I have all 4 of her
Come sit
kids.
right
Then you
come
won't
sit.
sit. If you don't want to be on camera, you can sit right there.
Yeah, Beth had all 4 of
Sure,
my
Beth's
kids.
going to come in. Hold on.
So
Just pause for 1 second.
Beth had all 4 of my kids. She's horrified. They're horrified. There's an 8-hour time difference. Everything is confusing. The next morning I wake up and I can't find Bogdan anywhere. Okay.
Well, he's
so-
disappeared while you've been sleeping?
Yes.
Okay.
Which I finally fell asleep, you guys. Like, it had been days.
The picture you sent me was you laying on a sofa,
I'm laying in a bed.
on a bed.
Yes.
All I see is your sneakers.
Yes.
And I think,
And
was
I
he
asked you to
there
pray
with
for
you?
me.
Yeah.
So when I woke up and he wasn't there, I'm like calling for him. I'm looking for him. Is he hiding? Like, what's happening? Because the night before we were like this. Like, he's
Yeah.
like this on
He wouldn't
me,
let
like,
go of you.
holding me
Right.
so tight. Well, all of a sudden he walks back into our little hut and he looks at me with a look I've never seen. Like, and he's like scared of me. Like, I'm sitting over there and he's sitting over here and he will like not look at me and he's not touching me. And I'm like, buddy, what's wrong? And he's like flinching. Okay, freaking those people told him that the only reason Americans adopt children from Ukraine is because they have sick children at home and they need to harvest their organs.
Oh my God.
So these people are telling
Unreal.
him.
Did you find that out after the fact?
Well, yeah. So I find out from these girls. Like, I'm with Beth's daughter, Yulia.
Yeah.
She's in a room with me, and then
She was sort of taking care of you.
she was taking care of me.
So the other part that's important is that the airlines had lost your luggage and Ron's luggage.
Yeah, I had kind of forgotten about that.
So like, you hadn't not like
Nothing.
had nothing.
I had nothing, and I had not changed my clothes for like 2 days. And I got there, and I was like, I need some panties, y'all. And Yulia, Beth's daughter, gave me like some panties and some leggings. And Bogdan gave me a pair of socks that had like little bunny rabbits on them.
Yeah.
So like, I'm wearing all of the clothes from the orphanage. It was so humbling to like have this moment with them where we're all sitting there wearing some, clothes that had been given to us by God knows who. I don't even know. So-
Interestingly, that would be something that would be blowing up your trip if you weren't dealing with the things you were dealing
Yes.
with.
Yeah.
Right? That's one of those things
We
you're
all
like, I
remember
can't
the
believe
lost
this is
luggage.
happening.
Well, and that's the thing. We all remember lost luggage.
Yeah,
Every
of
trip we
course.
have. But
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, oh, I didn't even remember
It's
that.
usually
That's-
such a big deal, but
Yeah.
you didn't even think to tell it as part of the story because it just didn't matter in the scheme of what was
No,
going on.
it
I
didn't.
think that's such an interesting like
And
perspective
then
piece. Yeah.
the other part of it is that like I've got 3 out of 4 of her kids and
At
my
your
3
house.
kids at my house. So I've got 4 different schools I'm trying to get everyone to every
Yeah.
day. And also like my oldest and her oldest kids,
They know.
they're old enough
Yeah,
to be aware of
understand.
what's going on. So
Yeah.
I'm like perfected my poker face during that time. So I kept the very like, everything's okay, mama's safe, everything's gonna be fine. And inside I'm like, am I ever gonna see my husband and best friend ever again? Like, am I ever gonna see my daughter ever again? What's gonna happen? And so, I mean, it was awful.
Yeah.
I've never experienced anything like this in my life.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible.
I know I was sitting over there going, "Oh my goodness!"
Well, if a
I'm
horrible
living
story
it.
could just get a little bit worse, you were then charged with something really
Well, I
erroneous
was
and
I was
ridiculous.
investigated for child trafficking while I was there.
By who?
Well, the lady,
The lady who
owns-
wanted
she
your
didn't
kids.
investigate
Okay.
me, but
Okay.
So turns out she wants my kids. Like,
Yeah.
she finds out that I'm in the process of adopting Bogdan. She is pissed because she wants to adopt Bogdan's sister.
Right.
Okay. Which in turn, she probably wants Bogdan too.
Mhm.
And I want to adopt Bogdan, which in turn, I probably want his sister too. Right.
Right.
So we're both in the
Mm-hmm.
same place. And I'm kind of feeling for her. Like,
Right.
I
Because
can
you're both
imagine-
fighting for your kids.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Right.
like, I can imagine what this would feel like if everyone came to Nashville, Tennessee, and then there was this woman from Lithuania there. I'd be like, shoo, shoo.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
I
These are my
get
kids.
it.
Get out of my way.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of understand
For
it.
sure.
So I feel for her, but at the same time, she was awful to me.
Right.
And ended up calling like child services. Child services came out and she told them that I was trying to traffic our son and that I was trying to buy him from the orphanage. And so you guys, we started getting, me and Ron, Beth's husband, and then my husband were all investigated for child trafficking. And the orphanage director, who is also their guardian, who is still being investigated. Like, our children, mine and Beth's children, are in public orphanages in the middle of Ukraine right now. They ended up going back to Ukraine, long story, but they ended up going back to Ukraine and they're stuck there in orphanages without their father. Like, this man who is their guardian is my son's father. Like, he's been in this orphanage since he was 3
Yeah.
and he's 10 now. And that's his dad.
Yeah.
And he's been taken away from him because of this.
And so they have him elsewhere investigating him because he can't be at the
He
orphanage
can't be with his
until
kids.
he's clear.
And they're not even back at their orphanage. They're at some random public orphanage. Like, my son is in an orphanage with like 9 other kids. I think Beth's daughter is in a foster home somewhere with her siblings.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a freaking disgusting situation. It makes me so angry because all I can think about is the fact that he has a family here who wants him, needs him, loves him, and would take him in a second. And then we can't have him.
Well, with this other woman trying to adopt,
So-
why didn't she get them?
So listen to
would wonder,
this.
yeah.
She basically held that entire orphanage hostage, you guys. Like, she refused to let them go, even when Ukraine was saying,
Okay,
something's
we want them
not
back now.
something's not right here. We want our children back. She was like, she would not send them back. She would not let them go. Well, the day after Bogdan's sister turned 18, she let them go.
Happily. There you go.
Bogdan's sister was then an adult and could choose to stay.
And did she stay?
She stayed.
Yes.
Okay, so now you would think Bogdan is adoptable back
He
in
is.
Ukraine,
He is. Except for she's saying that she wants him now.
So that's the holdup at this point.
Well,
Like,
there
well,
really
and
is.
also,
the
But there's
holdup.
obviously this. There's a lot. I'm sure there's many more layers.
I
than
mean, the
that.
holdup is the war.
Right.
right.
Like, our all of our paperwork and everything is done on the U.S. side. So like our I-600A, our dossier, everything is done. But there's no one on the receiving side of Ukraine to take that
Right.
paperwork and
Process the
approve
paperwork.
us
Yeah.
of adopting.
It's insane.
So they won't do it. They won't do it until martial law is lifted. Actually, I think it was just recently they reinstated. So they'll reinstate it every 3 months until the war is over. They've been reinstating it every 3 months. So every time we look at a date and we pray that by that date it'll be lifted. And then once martial law is lifted, they wait 3 months and adoptions can start again. But every time martial law comes like to question, they reinstate it.
That's insane.
So until it's lifted, and then 3 months later, we cannot pursue adoption. Mind you, this entire time, so my son wouldn't have anything to do with me whenever we were at
Yeah.
the resort. And then eventually we were able to talk through it with a translator who is Lena, the one who told her story at Crosspoint that made us want to.
Wow.
So she kind of was able to be full circle. She's with my kids tonight. She's amazing. We love her so
Yeah.
much. And she was able to talk to Bogdan and tell him, like, that is not what's happening here. Like, your mom loves you. Your papa loves you. And so then we've had this really
Poor
amazing.
baby. Like what a
I
confusing.
know.
Y'all, I can't even imagine the trauma this kid has gone through. So, like, now we have this amazing relationship, and then I have not spoken to him since December 11th, which is December 10th. Homegirl from Lithuania sent him $800.
Wow.
Oh my.
So you were in
gosh.
communication with him back in Ukraine until that
Yes,
time?
until December 11th is the last time I've
Wow.
spoken to him.
So who's trying to buy who, right?
Right.
So can I ask you just to rewind a little bit? What did that look like when all of a sudden your son, I can't even imagine how that feels, but I think as moms, we can all like kind of imagine that. But then did they detain you? Was there like, how did this investigation happen? Because to be in another country, and
That's
terrifying.
thing, yeah.
Well, we were terrified not only because of that, but we also had rental cars from Poland, and we were not supposed to take the Poland cars over to Lithuania.
Right.
But obviously it was extenuating circumstances. So
Right.
so immediately, like once I told Scott, like something is not going right here, they've taken my passports, like I need you to come get me. He immediately picked up our girl from Ukraine and then started driving to Lithuania with Ron and also a couple of our other friends. So they all started driving to Lithuania. They showed up in Lithuania, and when they got there were police everywhere. And the police said, you will not enter this property.
At the resort.
Mm-hmm.
And Ron's like, he FaceTimes me. And so there's 8 hours difference. So it's the middle of the night. I've got all these kids upstairs. And there's all these police officers. And I'm live FaceTiming. And I'm like,
Yeah, so I'm in the resort. They can't come in the resort. So they finally say, like, we'll let you come in, but you have to walk. You can't leave your car. And it's like a real long, like, path kind of thing. So the police walk up with all of our people. I see them and immediately feel like I could just fall to my knees because I didn't know if they were coming, you know. Like, I knew they were coming, but I didn't know if they would let them come get me. Whew. So Scott comes in and they basically say, like, no contact, like, you need to come told Scott and Ron and our other people, you need to come have a meeting over here. And they told me, you need to go away. And so I went back into my little hut and sat there for an hour and a half while they had a meeting with like all of these people. There were like 5 different languages being spoken, everyone trying to speak to each other.
and no one spoke all the languages.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So the chances of things getting lost in translation are like
Really high.
1,000%.
So bottom line from that, whatever meeting they ended up having, they came out of the meeting, they got me, they said, we have to leave right now. We have to leave this country. If we don't leave this country, then we will be detained.
So Ron texted me during the meeting and said, the kids just have to agree that they want to come home with us. That's it. And I was like,
Oh, that's
we're
easy.
golden.
Great, done.
We're golden. Like,
yeah.
we're good. And then a couple of minutes later, he texts me and goes, this is not good. We have to leave now.
Yeah.
Without the children. And I just lost it.
Yeah.
What flipped that?
We don't know.
We have no
We have
idea.
No idea.
I
But
think
so.
it's-
So that's something that was lost in translation.
Yes.
Is like, here's what we understood,
Yes.
and everything changed in a moment.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you
And
can
they police escorted us out. At this point, Bogdan was not really speaking to me, but he was attached to Scott's leg. I mean, he just had like this amazing connection with Scott. So
Yeah,
when he
he
saw
trusted
Scott,
him.
I think he immediately felt like safe again.
Yeah.
And so he held his leg, and Scott basically had to say, like, we got to go. And so we left them there. And especially Yulia, like,
She
Beth's
was
daughter,
older. She's a teenager.
Yeah, she's 14 now. Like,
And she kept getting onto Bogdan, like, why are you acting like
Yeah.
this? This is your mama. That's my papa.
yeah,
Like, don't be stupid.
yeah. And she would
Yeah.
hold me and just hold me, like, because I would just sit there and sob, and she would just like hold me, bring me an apple, bring me strawberries, like try to feed me. They were giving me tea, and I couldn't eat. I would not get out of the bed. Like, I refused to get up from the bed because I didn't know these people and I didn't trust them. So anyway, we ended up leaving. We left immediately and went straight back to Poland, and that
Flew
was
home.
it.
And when you got home, how long did it take for Bogdan to like have a sort of change of heart and realize?
I mean, it was pretty immediate.
I
Like,
remember
once I
feeling that.
had, I mean, because that was one of the things that I was struggling with the most, is like, how could they tell him this? How could he think this? And it was the teenage girls that were telling me what had been said.
Yeah.
So they're telling Bogdan that you're gonna harvest his organs, you know, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, Bogdan, no, 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 no. I'm trying to tell him no, and he's like, no, 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 you know, and
Yeah.
so God knows what they've told him now. But anyway, yeah, I just
So, but you guys had a relationship for the past year.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had a digital relationship, but a relationship
Yes.
nonetheless for the past year. So
Yes.
it's only been since December.
December 11th is the
something
last
has
time I talked to him.
changed,
Yeah.
and that's like pretty.
The orphanage director contacted me and said, I want you to know that this woman from Lithuania has sent him like $1,000 and bought him a new phone. And I don't know if he'll be able to contact you anymore.
Wow.
So it was probably like, here's your new phone, but don't you talk to that lady.
Yeah, here's your new phone. No
was a
Instagram
bribe.
access. Here's your new
It
phone.
was an ultimatum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't spoken to him since then, but I'm still hopeful that it will work out in the end. But like, one of the things that Beth and I have decided, well, she had to decide long before me, but I've decided with her, alongside her recently, is just that like we have to give this to God. Like this
Yeah.
is not
In our hands.
It's completely outside of your control, and what will be will be. That's a hard thing to.
yeah, especially when
Accept.
you're a freaking control freak.
Yeah.
Can I ask you what it was like when you got home? Because you obviously have kids at home too, who I'm sure were scared, and to have an extreme.
Well, they never
experience like
they never
this.
really experienced in live time what was happening.
Mhm.
Logan probably did. My oldest probably did because I would text her and tell her what was going on.
But I kept a poker face strong enough
Mhm.
because I knew that they would know, and I knew that she would want her kids to know, but I also didn't want to scare them.
Yeah.
But
in
what
real
about
time.
you?
What was I like when I
Like
got home?
how do you click back
you were-
into
I
mom mode
didn't.
for my
She
kids?
didn't.
that
I know,
are right
it
here?
took-
That's my
It
question.
took
Is like
months.
Yeah.
how do you go from, I would imagine, and this is just me imagining, that your husband, like, people who are involved in war and come home with this different version of reality and the PTSD that goes along with that. You experience that. And I'm sure he was accustomed to that on a lot of levels.
Yeah, he
but
was.
then
Yeah.
also not with your kids involved. So how do you as a mom come
I mean,
home and function?
I don't
She
think I did.
She was pretty numb
Yeah.
for a while.
Both
Yeah.
I
of
think
you
I
were,
still am.
To be fair, both
I-
of you were very nice.
Yeah.
I in our friendship, I'm the more feeler person.
Yeah.
And you compartmentalize?
Yeah.
She's super
Well,
good
I've
at it.
pretty much said, like, I'm not dealing with this until I have to.
Right.
Right.
Like, I don't know what's going to happen. And once I
Yeah.
find out the end result, then I'll deal with it. So, like, I'd have to say, like, I feel pretty sure that I have not dealt with any of this crap
Yeah.
yet, which I'm okay with right now.
Well, you haven't had closure.
No, I don't have
Oh, no.
closure. I don't know what's going to happen.
There's no end to this story
And
yet.
I don't
There's
like to
no-
sit in my shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to sit in a pile of shit and just smell and stink and
Well,
be
because you
dirty.
also can't function for your other kids if you
No.
do that.
So
That's part of,
I
like-
would rather ignore all of it,
Right.
and wash myself off and just move on with normal life.
Yeah.
And then once I know if he's our son or he's not our son, then I'll deal with all of the
I
trauma
actually
that has
think
come
that
from
that is a
this.
relatively healthy way, like, to do it for you, for yourself, for your own
Yeah.
protection, and for your other children.
Yeah.
Because you could sit around wondering how this is going to end all day, every day, but it's not going to change anything.
No,
And some
it's just
days I
gonna
do.
Really, really
Yeah,
eat at you.
I'm sure.
mean,
I
there
can't
are
imagine
some
how you wouldn't
days-
some days.
And like after this experience, so my girl has 5 siblings.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's one of 6.
She's one of 6.
And so Beth would have to adopt all 6 of them.
All 6 of them.
Yeah.
That's 9 children.
Right.
And after this experience, my husband and I, who were like super done with kids after 3, we would take them in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
we've had to like really work through all this and come to the place of saying, if the only thing that God needed us to do was be someone who cares about these specific children during this specific time in their lives, that has to be enough.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we were the only people on the entire planet that cared about these specific children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if that's the only part of their story that we get to be in, we have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
That's a really healthy perspective.
Yeah. And that reminds me of my sweet friend Emily Wilkes. She is a foster parent. And I want to say this, like, to you and to you and to you and to like everyone who is listening. Like, I feel like this is like such a wise piece of information. She fosters. And how many times do you hear people say, oh, I could never do that?
Yeah, I couldn't. I know I couldn't. After hearing the stories, I know without a shadow of a doubt in my mind I couldn't do it.
No, you
But I
could.
know other people could. I
could.
just can't.
You could.
I can't. I've had too much tragic loss in my life to function at that level.
Okay, well,
And
there's-
healthy. Like, I can't be a healthy foster
Okay.
parent. for
Okay, I
someone.
hear you.
I
hear
get that everyone who could do it should do it. Like, I get it. If you have that, do it. I could not be a healthy foster parent.
Okay, well, there's 2 pieces to this.
Yeah.
The first one is when someone says, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. I absolutely believe that God constantly gives us more than we can handle. And the second thing that Emily told me that I have always held on to anytime we have had a child in our home that is not biologically ours is that if it doesn't hurt when they leave, then you didn't do it right.
Right. I believe that completely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you would have a child in your home and not become emotionally invested in their well-being and miss them when they were gone.
Well, a lot of people do.
Yeah, well, that's sad.
I know.
You know,
sad.
well, it's just like, we were at St. Jude
Oh,
recently,
yeah.
and there was a doctor talking about how, when she lost her first patient, that she realized that pain she went through, she had to go through over and over and over because she had to continue to show up and be invested in these kids.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, she wasn't giving them what
Mhm.
they needed. But it is truly like setting yourself up for heartbreak in a lot
Well,
of
and
ways.
it's almost like I
but-
won. Like I'm
Right.
like, I did it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Right.
this freaking hurts.
because
Mhm.
because
I did it
was in
right.
it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And so, in the defense of the trauma, I have a story that should have never happened.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of what I've experienced the last year is I want to save this girl because no one was able to save me when I was a little girl.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so, like, a lot of therapy has happened.
Wow.
A
Yeah.
lot of emotions have happened because we text every single day.
Yeah.
She called me mama from day one. And I want to save this girl because I love her and also because no one was able to save me when I was a little girl.
Well, maybe for you, it's you have saved her and the imprint on her life is permanent, regardless of where she physically, like geographically winds up growing
She still
up.
has you,
She still
Yeah.
has me. And,
which is, I mean, there's nothing more meaningful
right.
than that.
Right.
Kayla just flashed us. Speaking of showing skin.
Speaking of boobies,
Remember how I told you the heaviest of subjects, they end up being like,
you're like this deep dark adoption. Let me see your titties.
We needed that. We needed the boobs.
I love Jesus, but I also love your titties. So
Yeah.
it's fine.
this is amazing.
You're like, this is what we needed Kayla to
This is
hear.
amazing.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
They're either going to want us back or never again.
I think there's moments that happen very early on that we're like, okay, or obviously you guys are already tight with Jen, but where I'm like, oh yeah, these are people. Yeah. I mean, you can usually tell very, very quickly. And if you were to know the dynamic between the three of us, you would find this even more hilarious. I do want to ask one more question, just because I feel like this kind of speaks to our why with doing this episode, which we wanted to talk to you for a long time, but we were going to have you on when all this happened.
Yeah.
And Jen was like, she's not here. She's in Poland, right? Like,
Yeah.
I remember all of this happening. So it's, there's no resolution to this story, right? But it is nice to see you and have you here and to hear the pieces of the story that do, I think, exactly what Jen said, is I hope you guys realize anything you're adding to a child's life in any moment is meaningful.
Yeah.
And kids, even if they don't remember the moment, they remember the feeling. Like Bogdan remembers that feeling of having you
That
and the
safety and
comfort.
security and comfort.
That
Yeah.
sticks. And these text messages where your daughter has you there and knows that. I know that from my own childhood. I'm sure you guys do too. And especially if you didn't have someone saving you, you know how important it is to have that person.
Yeah.
I guess, like, we were talking about how these ridiculous things that seem even more ridiculous that we've been going through this week, we're like, oh, I can hardly get through this week or whatever.
Mason saw Pornhub at school.
Oh, God, yeah. We haven't even talked about that on the mic
we haven't
yet.
had an episode
Yeah,
about
Eli
that.
told someone to suck his D. So.
You didn't even tell me that.
You know what? I'm sorry.
Actually, he said suck
Major.
these nuts.
Major
And he's
props.
8. So there's that. You're welcome.
Wow. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Going
see?
through this, and you on your side, Beth, too, because like you said, you've never been you weren't physically there, but
Well, I
you
haven't
were.
said a whole lot during this episode, but I have a lot to say.
Well, I think we just need to have you guys back and talk about other things. But in your life now, you're a little bit further removed from it, but I had nothing as extreme as anything you've gone through, but I went with my band and we performed in Iraq several times, and it was just
Maybe
truly,
she performed for Scott.
Oh my
might
gosh.
have.
I bet he was so
Yeah.
turned
we
on.
should.
He
I do remember Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Aquaman wasn't out yet then.
And Vicki wasn't in the picture yet, so
And
it's
he
totally
did,
fine.
not, he did not even almost look like Aquaman then. I
No,
can
he
tell you
did
that.
not.
But I remember coming
Crazy.
home, and what struck me being in that kind of situation was it wasn't really about the imminent danger as much as it was there. And we had a few situations that were like, wow, that is a normal thing for them.
Yeah.
It was more about the monotony and the isolation.
Yeah.
And it was so much more about functioning away from your family, away from anything. And I remember getting home and going to Starbucks and some asshole like just lighting up the barista about how their coffee wasn't right.
Oh.
And I remember having so much rage
Yeah.
over like, this doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, do you know what people are doing so that you can freaking have your latte?
Your latte the way you want it?
And I just remember just my perspective in that moment. And I carry a little piece of that with me. You guys have gone through such a unique experience as moms and as people, really.
Yeah.
How has that changed the way you look? And it's okay if it hasn't at all, because I
Okay.
do think that we have to live our lives not in extremes. It's just like, just because you really want your son back, like you're not going to hold that against someone else, right? Like you have to live
Right.
your life in a somewhat normal way just to live in the world and not be angry all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll say, for one, my mom died when I was 24. And she had battled breast cancer for 12 years. So from the time I was 12
Wow.
until I was
That's
24.
a long time.
It was such a long time. And she passed away when I was 24. And I feel like I didn't cry again for like 10 years.
Well, because that's pretty much the pinnacle.
I know. I
of
was
what
like,
will make you cry.
I was like, oh,
that's what
that's-
tragedy does, though.
This
It
is no
makes
big
you-
deal
it
because
makes
I've
you
been there.
compartmentalize the
Yeah.
rest
It
of the
does,
tragedy.
yeah.
You're like, I've been at
It does.
this.
yeah, like
so this is
this
not
is not worth crying over.
right.
But I feel like as a mom and a friend of moms, I want to leave space for that.
Yeah.
And I struggle with that sometimes because I am not super empathetic. I want to be.
Beth's your empath.
Yeah,
She's
Beth
our
is my
Kayla.
empath.
She wants
she's
to
Vicky's
so
Kayla.
much.
I
Yeah.
really, really want.
Like her heart wants to.
I do.
But then she's like, they're there.
There, dear friend. I'm so
And you're
sorry
like-
you're sad.
What do you mean?
Robotic, very robotic. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Please let me know when you feel better and we shall go to Target. Bye. Like,
But at her core, she really does care.
I do
Right.
care, and I want to be empathetic
She
to things.
she
it's
wants
just,
to.
I think that, you know,
I'm just
I'm
better
very
at it.
empathetic too, but it has to be a big deal.
yeah.
And it's because of trauma.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, like for me, and you're different. You're different. I'm an Enneagram 8, and you are as well. I know.
I'm a
that.
3.
You can't be. No, you might be, but you're also an 8.
I'm a 3, wing 2.
She-
I'm a
Same.
I'm a 2,
Yes.
This
wing
girl-
3.
this-
Hold on, try it again.
Wait, do you know how to
She is
always
the champion.
always
This
hit a
is
high five?
such a good
How?
trick.
Look at the elbow.
No.
Anytime, every time.
It
Never
works
fails.
every time.
Guys, that might be the best mom hack I've ever heard.
I am still stuck on this. Enneagram Ashton will have to weigh in here, but like, I swear to God, you are an 8.
She's not
You're an
actually.
Everybody thinks
7.
No.
everybody thinks I'm whatever they are.
No, I think you're a champion. I think you're the champion.
She's
I for
definitely
sure
a
need to
3.
perform for you.
She's
That's
a
what I'm-
3 wing
Well,
2.
you can perform for me. Topless would be preferable.
Okay.
We're gonna cut
That's fine.
before that probably.
Guys, I'm not sure what's going down after we
say
turn
we
off the
include
mics.
it.
What's
Because
about
my
to happen?
Enneagram 2 wing 3 is like,
That's Kayla. Kayla's a 2 wing 3.
Am I
She
like,
is. Yeah.
Yeah. Kayla's a 2 wing 3.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it sucks.
Yeah, so I get back to that. I get it because I feel like
She wants to be
the
a freak, but
empath
can't.
side of
I
me,
get it.
you have to be really
Hence
needing
that
my
conversation,
shit.
right?
You know what I mean? For me to feel it. Well,
So-
you know, I know you two are really busy moms, so chances are you haven't listened to every episode of our podcast. However,
I mean, probably close though.
we did an episode with a friend of mine named Shalene Bryan, and for our listeners, our listeners should listen to this. The Shalene Bryan episode was just as like
You guys would love it.
powerful as your story. Listen, I swear to you, listen to it,
And
it'll change your
similar
life.
in some ways.
Yeah, it'll change your life.
Yeah, she's so inspirational, and I feel like you guys are too. And honestly, I know it's not easy to talk about that. I could see it on your face, especially like when we talked about painting the picture of that day,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I imagine is like one of the scariest, worst days, I'm sure, in your life. And whether or not you get those kids in your arms, I hope that you guys can see how meaningful what you've done is.
The
And
imprint.
I honestly, you know, we always say like moms are superheroes, but you guys are superheroes. Like, look what you did.
Mm-hmm.
You did that, and you showed up for your babies.
Yeah.
And
Pretty incredible.
no matter what happens, like, you guys are just outstanding humans and outstanding moms.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this with us.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your
course.
story with
It's
us.
fine. Even if
And
I had to stop at a liquor store on the way here.
it's okay.
Let's go see some. Let's
We
go see
do-
some titties. We're gonna see some titties.
No, don't poke the bear.
I love you
I
guys.
think we're done.
I love you guys. And that's a wrap.
The Hi, My Name is Mom Studio is brought to you by the Yard Sale Store. Check them out at yardsalestore.com and on socials at Yard Sale USA.